They're twisting the text. They are trying to conceal its true meaning. We've heard, but their edits are shallow. The truth will out someday.
Oh man, we live, baby. We live. We lit, baby. We lit. What's really good, family tree? Let me know, please. Let me know if you're up in the building with me by simply hitting the like button right now. We've got a absolutely showstopper for you right now. We've got my good brother JC in the building. He is formerly, the scholar, formerly known as the Quranic Inquisition, but now he's known as the Quranic Endgame, is going to be in the building with us, dropping a very hot presentation, as you can see in the title and in the description box. We've got this is going to be packed with information. Presentation is looking absolutely impeccable, to say the least. So yeah, family, if I can get you guys to literally tell a friend that we're live right now on Titans TV and we are going in. Again, drop your comments. Any comments and questions that you do have, please drop them in the comment section. We do these shows, Talk with the Titan style shows, where we get these up and coming Titans to come onto the platform, deliver a presentation, and then you guys, the audience members, has the opportunity to come in behind stage with us to ask your questions live on air, or you can ask them inside of the comment section as well. So if you're ready for this, let me introduce my guy, JC, in the building. Peace and love. See.
God bless you, Kalam. Thank you very much for the invitation. It is lovely speaking with you again and to get to actually show some of this cool research to your audience as well. And thank you very much for the very, very cool introduction.
Amazing. Listen, I have seen your information literally everywhere. It's like I cannot turn on a channel that you are not on. I've seen you on various different channels. If you can give us the catalog of channels that you've been on, please let us know right now.
Well, pretty much I have been streaming at Lloyd's, but he's a very good guy to have. He has this hub of connections. So over there we have been speaking with Odon Lafontaine, who should need no introduction. He is a fan favorite. Also with Adam Seeker, with Usama Dagdog. Then on my channel, doing streams with a number of people from Joe from Red Judaism, or formerly Red Judaism, with our friend Shai as well, who finds stories that are in apocryphal stories and Talmudic legends and find them in the Quran, and with our brother John, who we are actually doing a huge series showing his biblical blueprints found in the Quran. So with quite a few people, but at the moment channels, it has been those plus Adam Seeker as well. I've been there once and probably will be back there soon enough.
Amazing. And let me see if I can quickly get your channel up. Possible. There we go. I have your channel up right now. It is looking amazing. The way you've actually branded your channel, everything, it looks amazing. So everybody right now, we have got the channel up right now for you to go and check out if you want to. Either subscribe right now, Quranic Endgame, or after the episode is finished. After you've heard what he's had to say, I'm sure you guys are going to go over there and actually hit the subscribe button as well. So yeah, please go and support my good brother over as well. So let's actually get into this. But before I actually get into this with you, I want to know, how long have you been studying Islam seriously? And why? Why now? I know it's been like a year since you've come out, but why now? Like, what is the reason? Like, or what is the frustrations? It could be frustrations that you've said, nope, it's time. I need to get my information out. I need to provoke certain. I know for me, it's like I need to provoke the scholars to change up the narrative because we need, real information out there. So tell me, like, what is it? What is it about Islam and why?
Well, the full story, of course, would be like incredibly long, but the short version would be that I started studying Islam and I realized that there were way too many problems. And then at that point, I came across some information from some researchers that really did not make any sense. And I had to explore further. The example of that, one of the big penny drop moments, I can share that, is I didn't understand what was going on with the Quran. And then I was listening to the Christian Prince who explained to a caller that Surah 17, verse 1, that is the one about the night journey. Exalted is he who took his servant by night, and so on. And he nonchalantly said to this caller, but you see, this is not Muhammad. It doesn't say Muhammad, it says servant. So who is the servant in this verse? Well, look at the next verse. It's Moses. And that was a huge penny drop moment. It's like, oh boy, of course it's Moses. This means the Quran is full of stories that have nothing to do with Muhammad, but then people have pointed at those verses and said, no, trust me, bro, that's our guy. And then I started to dig into the Quran to find the stories that we've been told that's Muhammad right there, and it was never him.
Because you've just dropped something extra. Shouts out to Christian Prince as well, because we take a lot of things for granted, not understanding that our eyes, I like to call it our lens, is shaped by the exegetical, scholars, the people that read exegesis. They're the ones that are shaping our lens of how we are viewing Islam. So we've got that we have to deal with. Once until we take away, those Islamic lens away from our eyes, we will never see the truth. So we need to first remove all the indoctrination that we're familiar with, and look at the Quran fresh eyes. We even have to look at the Quran, away from even the English translation, and look at it from what does the Arabic say, and maybe there's a critical edition of the Quran, or the historical Quran, as there's one in French actually, or the historical Quran. We have to look at it from that point of view. What does the Quran actually say? What does this piece of literature actually say for itself versus what other people say it says or have interpolated into the text? So, yeah, wonderful. I commend you for that. Let's get up your presentation though, because I don't want to waste too much time, because I want the people to see the information that you've got ready to drop. I was going through it and I was like, let's go. Let's go. Round of applause. Like literally every single slide was a round of applause. So let's get this up real quickly. Yeah. And
Great.
let's go.
So let's begin with a bit of an introduction of where all of this problem actually comes from. There has been this debate raging about did Muhammad exist, of course, and then we have one camp, obviously, you, Kalam, and me, and Jay Smith, and Robert Spencer, and so on. We are on the camp of no. The Muhammad of the narrative, described in the traditions, didn't exist. Once we have reached that conclusion, then we have some interesting questions, such as, okay, did they invent him from scratch, like completely, or was he copied from some sort of blueprint from someone else? Of course, once we follow that line, once we get there, you come in with a very good answer, because when we find in your thesis so many parallels from the region, from the person, then it's very unlikely that they are coincidences. They would have used that as a blueprint. But the problem is the previous question still has lots of people saying, yes, Mohammed did exist. And in order to say refute your thesis and Odon's thesis and everybody else, all that they would say is, Well, Kalam, it's just a coincidence. You can find one person with parallels to Muhammad. You could find 1,000. It doesn't matter because Muhammad did exist. So first we have to really try to hammer home the Muhammad didn't exist, and then we find how the narrative was created. And as a final point on this, I'd say that this group, or rather this group here, the Muhammad didn't exist, that group comes exclusively from the yes mo's. Everybody, like I'm sure that you, Kalam, you were not born nomo, you were born believing in the narrative, and then something happened. You saw a story that didn't make sense, or problems with something that made you think, no, hang on a minute, there is more to that story. It's all a fabrication. So this group here is growing, and the movement is going only in this direction from yes, Mohammed did exist to no, Mohammed didn't exist. So hopefully today we can make people who are on the fence to jump um, to the right answer, which is here on the left, right? So in order to do that, let's just have a look very quickly about what happens with both positions. Mohammed didn't exist and Mohammed did exist. In order to establish that, we have sources, of course, internal and external. And it looks a little something like this. This is an oversimplification, but people would have heard from those who say that Muhammad didn't exist, they would say that the Sira and the Hadiths and so on, they are very biased, they're untrustworthy, they're pushing a narrative, and they are fabricated late. And the response from those who say that Muhammad existed, they will say all of history is like that because we don't have many original manuscripts from antiquity, late antiquity, and so on. There would be copies of copies, and also people transmitted a lot of their information orally. So we have this group pointing at the same sources saying we cannot trust them, and this group saying they are good enough. And with external sources, those are the accounts of Sebios, Doctrina Jacobi, John of Damascus, those sort of things. What this camp says is they are not describing the Muhammad of the narrative. The person described is in a different region, different period, doing different things, those sort of things. And those who say that Muhammad existed, they look at those same sources and they say, that proves that Muhammad existed. Sure, they got the region wrong. Sure, they got some details wrong, but it is proof that the guy existed. But here is the kicker. All of the sources that we are looking at, there is another source, which is older than all of these sources that we have here on the screen that we're used to discussing. And it is indisputably the earliest accounts of Muhammad's actions and character. And we have manuscripts from the 7th century. That source should tell us definitely if Muhammad existed or not. And that is, of course, the Quran. No one would deny that the Quran has the stories of Muhammad with the wives in Mecca, Yathrib, Battle of Badr, receiving the Quran, and so on. So this is the 7th century source that we can investigate. And with that, I will reframe the problem that we have. Let's say that what we have on screen is representative of the full Quran. So imagine you take the Quran, you remove all of the pages, you spread them out, and then you get a highlighter, and then you mark every single verse that is exegeted as being about Muhammad. And then you mark them, and it looks something like that. And then you mark everything else will be Genesis, creation, um, Jesus, Moses, Abraham, all of those other stories, Tulkarnain for some reason. So then everything will look like this. The earliest accounts of Muhammad, there would be all of these things in yellow at random throughout the book because the Quran is a little bit random. So then I'll put this question. How many of those stories do we need to debunk to show that they were never about Muhammad? They were invented by the tafsir writers and the hadith writers who pointed at verses and said, that's Muhammad. Here, you see, this is Muhammad there in Badr. But it's not about Muhammad. It's talking about Jesus or Moses or somebody else. So I'll put this question to you, Kalam, for your opinion. So if we were to put all of the questions, all of the verses that are meant to talk about Muhammad, how many would you accept to be proof that he didn't exist? How many do you think we would need to debunk in your estimation? Sorry, Kalam, I don't know if you're there. I can't hear you. Maybe you're muted.
Yeah, there we go. I would say once a pattern is formalized, so let's say 3 at minimum is present, I think we're good to go. And then 5, I would say I just need 5. Most people would need a whole lot more, but I would say 3 to 5, I'll be satisfied.
Okay, that's great. Probably in this presentation we have probably more than 5, and on my channel we have like hundreds. So I think that should be very easy to accomplish. So in the end, it would look a little something like this. If that one is Surah 17, verse 1, and now we know it's not about Muhammad, it's actually about Moses. Okay, so we know that the story is a fabrication. It appears much later, and then it has the whole array of hadiths and traditions that in order to justify his existence. So let's see how many stories or how many things we find in the Quran that contradict everything that we have been told about Muhammad, which will lead us to conclude that he didn't really exist. So we're going to see that the Quran was quite Christian. I will use the term Christian, although it was most likely a Christian heresy, but in order to not complicate matters, we go with Christian, and we don't have to worry if this Nestorian, Arian, or anything like this. So, for example, we have this surah, this verse, Surah 9, verse 31, which probably most people have heard from Christian apologists many times, but they don't normally get into the detail of it. They will drop it and normally move on because it doesn't quite fit the narrative, so it becomes confusing. But it is very clear. It says, they took their rabbis and their monks as lords apart from Allah and the Messiah. And they were commanded, and they were not commanded except to serve one deity. So what this verse is saying in a very clear Arabic, not only is committing shirk, because you cannot do this in Islam, what this is saying is that the lords in Islam are Allah and the Messiah, and there is only one God. It's like, wow, that sounds quite Trinitarian already by associating Allah and the Messiah. So these things happen quite a bit, and we're going to see. But think about it. The Muslims will always say that the Quran says that Jesus was only a servant. Okay? When we read the Bible, Jesus says that he came to serve. So there is a parallel there. When we look at the Bible, Jesus says that he is Lord. People call him Lord. When we go to this verse, it looks like these people believe the same thing. So it is already a lot more biblical than we've been told. And if we see what happens, what do translators do with this? We get quite a few. All of the ones that I have marked here in red, basically they lied about the translation because they are embarrassed by it. For example, Ahmad Ali, they consider the rabbis and monks and the Christ to be gods apart from God. But that's not what the verse says at all. So we can see how even in the modern times, the translators try to lie. So the ones in red, I will not read them. Everybody will be able to actually freeze this if they want to, or they can go to the website and see it for themselves. This is QuranX.com. And there are a couple that they actually get it right. So Arbery here, it says they have taken their rabbis and their monks as lords apart from God and the Messiah. In Corpus, the same. They have taken their rabbis and their monks as lords besides Allah and the Messiah. This verse is complete shirk, and it is not allowed in Islam because they are calling the Messiah Lord, which is as well a title for God, meaning that the Messiah is God. We don't have a problem with that, but they do. So more, these ones in red, they are all false translations. Karibullah gets it right. Besides Allah and the Messiah, great. Everybody else lies about it. So now we have found one thing that Muhammad would never have said. The stories of Muhammad, he would never have said that Jesus is Lord, but the Quran says that Jesus is Lord. And God only knows how many verses they removed or they fed to a sheep in order to remove these very embarrassing things. But anyway, we can move on. Other things that Muhammad wouldn't say is this. The Quran says very clearly that Jesus died, and I'm not going to take too much time on this because we could talk about this for days. There are 3 verses that say that Jesus died. Surah 19:33 here in the middle is one that normally we skip because there is a similar sentence about John the Baptist in the same surah. So, but it doesn't matter. The important ones is Surah 3:55, where the actual Arabic says, Allah said to Jesus, I will cause you to die and raise you to myself. And in Surah 517, it is spoken in the past tense, where Jesus is in front of Allah and says, and I was a witness over them as long as I was among them, but when you caused me to die. So this is very clearly two verses telling the story of Jesus pre-crucifixion and then one post-crucifixion. And when we go, as we're going to see in the translations, they actually lie about it a lot. Fortunately, now in the 21st century, we have people like Jai and Daughter of Christ, the Christian Prince, Rob Christian, Murad, Al Fadi, who speak Arabic, and they tells us very clearly it means death. It means to cause to die. It doesn't mean to fall asleep or anything of the sort. So we can see here from Corpus Quran that is the meaning of the word. This verb in this form, it always means to die. Every single time, even when it says to take, it means to take your soul. It actually means death every time, except when it is about Jesus. When it is about Jesus, by miracle, it means you raised me or you will take me. Think about it. Every single verse that uses this word, it means to die. When it is about Jesus, they have to deny what the book says. And this is what happens everywhere if you go to the tafsir, all the way to even Kathir, who of course appears 700 years after Muhammad, and his job is to duct tape the problems with the narrative. He will point at this and says, no, well, you know, there is this verse is used elsewhere and it's soul. Yeah, he takes the soul. Yeah, trust me, bro. It's like, no, he's just trying to patch it up because the Quran clearly says that Jesus died. Now, we do have a verse which every single Muslim knows. They don't know the other ones, but this one they do know. That says the one that, oh, we have killed the Messiah, but it says they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him, but it was made to resemble to him, to them. Now, we have many problems with this verse. For starters, that this doesn't deny the crucifixion because it resembled, people thought that they had killed the Messiah. What this verse is saying, no, they didn't kill him. They actually, it looked like it. And it's like, yes, and Christianity arose as a result. So, but I think what this is saying is something different. We have here from the Bible that Jesus said, no one takes my life from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down and I have power to take it up, to take it again. This command I have received from my Father. So we have in the Bible Jesus saying, nobody can take my life from me, and he immediately dies. And he's like, hang on a minute, what is going on? Is that a contradiction? No, because we understand exactly what happens. Nobody could just go and kill Jesus. He had a mission to do. And it is at the end of his mission, when he lays down his life willingly, that his life is forfeit, and then he can pick it up again. The Quran says the same thing. They didn't kill him. Everybody would understand that they saw him dying, but the belief of these people would have been along the lines of they killed the body, but what was inside it, which is the word of God, that they didn't kill. They didn't cause any damage to that. That's why we have the verses that say that he died, and then we have this verse that says that they didn't kill him. Those two things not only are not contradictory, the Bible affirms it, and we have here this verse that shows the same meaning, except of course spoken in different ways. There are other theories as well, that there is some Syriac in these sentences, which scholars try to figure out, but of course is a very, very difficult business. But anyway, we have established that Jesus died. Muhammad would never have said that. Therefore, he was not a real person saying that he was the last prophet. But things get worse. But before that, we can see how translators deal with this. Surah 355, they get it wrong. Then Daryabadi gets the right meaning. O Isa, verily I shall make thee die. Okay, good. He gets it right. Brownie points. These ones get it wrong. And then Talalitani, oh Jesus, I am terminating your life. Obviously, that is not the literal meaning of the word, but it is the meaning of death. So, brownie points for him. With 517, the same, Ahmad Ali gets it right. And after my life had been done, remember this is when Jesus is in heaven speaking with Allah. Then the other ones are wrong, 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 wrong. Muhammad Shakir, thou did cost me to die. So he gets it right. The other ones get it wrong. So far we are seeing things that first Muhammad would never have said. It contradicts Islam. And then someone comes later and tells us that it means something different. And those are the same people who are telling us the stories about Muhammad walking around saying that he was the last of the prophets and that you had to obey him. And this matter just gets worse, as in much, much worse, when we look at what have they done with the text. So let's look at some examples where we see that they've inserted Muhammad in places where he didn't exist. This is the examples that I said prove that Muhammad didn't exist. They had to put him into the verse. So first, let's look at this map. This is roughly Christendom in the 7th century, so just before Islam arose. And these are the big countries where Christians were there en masse. Obviously, Christianity had spread a lot more. We know that there were Christians even in China and more widespread here in Africa. But these were big countries. In here, lots of people, particularly if there are any Muslims listening, they will say, no, hang on a minute, all of this land was pagan. Well, it wasn't. And Kalam, you know this as well, full well, because it's big part of your research, that this area had been Christianized. The legendary Gabriel Reynolds speaks about this quite a bit, also Al-Jalad. Pagans were pretty much gone 200 years before Islam. This region had been Judaized and then Christianized. We have found like a church, huge church, I think in here. Najran was a Christian hub. This region was Christian. This region was Christian. The whole thing was Christian. So, and this is important because of what we are going to see next. We've been told that Muhammad said things that contradict Christianity, and people just didn't know because they were pagans. But that is just a big lie. These people had been Christianized. We're going to see that Muhammad could never get away with the things that he said. And also considering that even though everything starts right there in Mecca, Muhammad is supposed to die in 632, and before the end of the decade, they have conquered Jerusalem. So those people know everything about Christianity. Muhammad would never get away with lying about Christianity and forming a religion as a result. So let's see what I mean with this. We see in this same Surah 3, verse 55, the one with the lie, when Allah says, oh Jesus, I will cause you to die. So on that one, we have a very interesting theme. That verse says that he will make those who follow Jesus superior to those who disbelieve until the day of resurrection. Great. This book is Christian, or at least it was a Christian heresy or cult, but certainly Christian. This very clear verse in very clear Arabic says that God himself would make those who follow Jesus superior to those who disbelieve. That's it. Remember the map. How could Muhammad get away with it? Imagine he's actually there and he's saying those words. Allah will make those who follow Jesus superior until the day of judgment. By the way, Christians are not following Jesus, right? They are following Paul. So trust me, bro. It's like, no. When those words were spoken, everyone would have understood that this is what it means. Those who follow Jesus, not three guys in Medina or anything of the sort. The verse is very clear in Arabic. And this is going to establish the theme, which is going to help us remove Muhammad from a number of verses. So remember, the Quran says those who follow Jesus will be superior to those who disbelieve until the day of resurrection. Great. So a very random verse that not many people speak about it. This is Surah 58, verse 22. So you will see what happens here. Using Daif International, because it's always fun, you will not find a people who believe in Allah and the last day having affection for those who oppose Allah and his messenger. Oh, wow. Well, you see, that should be Muhammad. That means J. Smith is wrong, and Robert Spencer is wrong, and Odon LaFontaine is wrong, because you see, this is about Muhammad. Except that it doesn't say Muhammad, it says the messenger. The exegete says that it is the messenger, that it is Muhammad, but that is the exegete, not the text. And look at this, just getting a little bit ahead of myself. It ends with they are the successful. All right, so if we've seen the Quran saying that those who follow Jesus will be the successful, and this verse is describing who are the successful, could it be that this messenger is meant to be Jesus? Well, we continue reading. So it's of course saying those who oppose Allah and his messenger, even if they were their fathers or their sons or their brothers or their kindred. That is in the Bible when Jesus says, I can't remember the place, but when he says, those who love like their father more than me, they don't love me, or those who love their friends more than me, they don't love me. So this theme is actually in the Bible. And we continue reading, and look what it says. Those, which now is saying those who are following the messenger, he has decreed faith within their hearts and supported them with what? Oh boy, with a spirit from him. This text was Christian. In Islam, this expression has to be duct taped with the sort of duct tape that you use in the space stations. This is saying those who follow the messenger were given a spirit from God. This is the Holy Spirit. This is talking about the apostles, probably Pentecost, and it should be like quite basic. Now that we have seen the previous verse that says those who follow Jesus will be superior, now we can look at this ending of the verse and try to figure out, was always about Muhammad or was it Jesus? No, this messenger here was understood by the people to be Jesus, because those who follow him would have a spirit. As simple as that. Of course, they then invent the myth of Muhammad, and they have to duct tape these bits and pieces. All right, so hopefully that one will be very clear, but we're going to see other verses that makes things clear. This one is a very fun verse, Surah 48, verse 9. So we have here in blue Allah and his Rasul, which is phenomenal, Allah and his messenger. And in Sahih International, we see Allah and his messenger, so this is very good. But we can see that Taif International has inserted extra words that are not in the Arabic, which is interesting. So this is talking about Allah and his Rasul, and then it has these three words. If we put this just through ChatGPT, this will be the literal rendering. This is what the Arabic says. So that you believe in Allah and his messenger, and you support him, and you honor him, and you glorify him morning and evening. According to Arabic grammar, it is the last noun used where these things relate to. And these people know it very well. So when this is saying Allah and his messenger, followed by and you support him, support the messenger, honor the messenger, and glorify the messenger. That is a huge problem. In Islam, you cannot glorify anyone but God. In Christianity, you glorify Jesus, no problem. That's very good, that's halal, but not in Islam. So we can see how this verse is taken from Christianity, and in the translation, Daif International has to say, Allah and his messenger, honor him and respect the prophet. So they are inserting that to break the sentence, and then, and exalt Allah morning and afternoon. He didn't even use brackets on this one. Isn't that interesting? When we look at the tafsirs, this is where we see how they shoehorn the stories of Muhammad. Remember, this is about Jesus. You need to glorify Jesus, but they had to shoehorn a prophet, and you cannot glorify him. So when we go to the tafsir, we get things like this. They will acknowledge that you need to support him and revere him. So those two things are meant to be about the prophet. But then, as if by magic, when we get to the third one, because you cannot say in Islam glorify the messenger, it becomes as if by magic pronounce Allah's purity morning and evening. This is not what it says. In Arabic, it is very clear that you were meant to glorify the messenger, which means it was Jesus. Remember as well one of the previous slides where the Quran said Allah and the Messiah. So much of the Quran, when it says Allah and his messenger, is the same as if they said Allah and his Messiah or the Messiah. Is the same. This is the same association. And they have now pushed Muhammad into all of these verses. Some of them are just vague and it could talk about anyone, but some of them, like this one, is very clear. The messenger here was Jesus, and they've done everything they could, twisting every single rule in the book to deny what the book says and to shoehorn Muhammad in. And this is pretty much going to be the last one. This is the most important verse, in my opinion, so far, that shows how the whole narrative has been fabricated. The most important verse in the whole book, perhaps, is this one. Surah 7, 157. It is a favorite of everybody because it triggers the Islamic dilemma. Everybody will know this one full well. Look how it begins. Those who follow the messenger, the unlettered prophet, whom they find written in what they have of the Torah and the gospel. So there you have it. That's Muhammad. And then Muslims will say, do you have Muhammad in the Torah and the Injil? Christians and Jews will say, we never heard of him. So there you have it. Their scriptures are corrupt. But the Quran elsewhere keeps saying that the Torah and the Injil, they are preserved. So it doesn't make any sense. The problem is simple. This verse was never about Muhammad. This was not about Muhammad 1400 years ago. It is not about Muhammad now, and it's never going to be. It does not describe Muhammad. First, before we actually get to go through every page, every little word here, just to mention this. It says unlettered in the translations. It doesn't mean unlettered, because there will be people saying, no, Jesus was not unlettered. It's like, yeah, it doesn't mean unlettered. This word in Arabic is ummi, and scholars just keep fighting over it because they don't understand how it could mean unlettered. They don't understand it. Ummi is from the same root as Ummah, which means nation, like the Ummah in Islam. Murad translates this as the national prophet. And even Rashad Khalifa, who obviously people don't want to talk about him, but Rashad Khalifa translates this as the Gentile prophet. The one thing to take away is it doesn't mean unlettered, and nobody knows what it actually means. Okay, there are a number of theses. So let's just ignore that one because everybody argues about it, but I guarantee it's from the word ummah. It has nothing to do with unlettered. So let's read it now. Those who follow the messenger, the Ummi prophet, whom they find in what they have of the Torah and the Injil. Of course, it's Jesus. From Genesis to the book of Revelation, Jesus is throughout. Remember the map? The map showed that everyone would be very familiar with the scriptures. They knew the stories. This was not pagan lands at all. So when someone heard the messenger who is in the Torah and the Injil, everyone would have known that is Jesus immediately without thinking about it twice. And like Kalam said, we have just been told the opposite stories for so many years that it's almost difficult to see until you do, and then everything makes sense. But let's continue. So this is not Muhammad saying, I'm in the Torah and the gospel, and then 5 minutes later, the moment he meets a Jew or a Christian, they're going to just die laughing. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. He couldn't get away with that lie even for 5 minutes. Everyone would have known he was a false prophet, but it doesn't matter because this is not him. We continue. So this messenger enjoys upon them what is right and forbids them what is wrong, and makes lawful for them the good things and prohibits for them the evil. Okay, in Islam, only Allah can make things lawful and unlawful. The messenger cannot do it. And in here, very clearly, the messenger is the one who does it. So you have to duct tape it in the tafsirs by saying that Allah makes it lawful and unlawful, and the messenger passes on the message. This is not the case. Making things lawful and unlawful can only be done by God. Therefore, this is Jesus. And funnily enough, the Quran acknowledges that, because in this other verse, Surah 3, verse 50, the Quran says exactly the same thing. This is Jesus speaking. You get this from the previous verses. Jesus saying, I have come to you. I have come, confirming what was before me of the Torah, and to make lawful for you some of what was forbidden to you. There you have it. The Quran acknowledges, not in this verse only 350, but also in 7157. No one but God can make things lawful and unlawful. And the Quran says twice that it is Jesus who does that. This was very Christian, even though they have tried to twist it by shoehorning Muhammad everywhere. But there is a little bit more. After that, prohibits for them the evil and so on, and relieves them of their burden and the shackles which were upon them. All right, so we have that theme in the Bible. Let's read Matthew 11:28-30. Jesus is speaking, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. The same theme in there. Muhammad, not very good at removing shackles, but to put them on people. And then we are almost at the end of that verse. So they who have believed in him, honored him, supported him, and followed the light which was sent down with him. Wow. Okay. That is the spirit, and very clearly so. First, for the light to be sent down with him implies that he is up above. And the Quran acknowledges, says that Jesus, the Messiah, is the word of God and a spirit from him. So anyone who listened to this, they would understand it immediately. The spirit which was sent down with him because he was up above. Muhammad, if you put this through the lens of the Islamic narrative, it doesn't make any sense. Muhammad receives revelations, then he goes to the heavens 11 years later. The Quran is never sent down in the past tense. The whole thing breaks. It makes no sense. So the light would very clearly be the spirit, although an argument could be made for the other way around. What is sent down is the spirit, and the light is the word of God, which is sent down with the spirit. So you can argue either way, but it's still very clear. And how does it end? Just like before. It is those who will be the successful. All of these very clear verses about who are the successful, they are always about Jesus. This verse describes Jesus to a T. And I hope that that's actually very clear. Then we go to the tafsir and we see how they try to make this about Muhammad, how the Christians and Jews have corrupted their scriptures. None of that is true. All of that was part of very bad people creating a narrative that we have been believing for too long. And Kalam, please let me know how I'm doing with time. There is this final verse. I don't know if you want to actually bring anybody to ask questions. Should I stop at this point or should I go on for a few more minutes? What would you like me to do?
Please continue. Please continue.
Okay, cool. So I'll just finish then off with this. And so that's Surah 757 and 158. You can see it just continues from there. So the first thing that I'm going to just comment is that this word here that says say, which is cool in Arabic, there is confusion with this word everywhere in the Quran, from the 7 readings to the 14 readings. And I just did a video with lots of people, with Lloyd de Jong, Odon, Adam, and Usama, about this very specific word, how in many of the readings, they will appear as say, and then others as he said. there is confusion, not about this verse in particular, but basically it's a mess. I do think that this one originally read, he said, and of course they had to change it very quickly. Certainly it's not Muhammad. Let's just go with that, and let's assume that they did play with this word because we have seen that in lots of other verses in the Qur'an. Let's say that it actually read, he said, and the verse said, he said, O mankind, indeed I am the messenger of Allah to you all, to whom belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth. Everyone would have understood that they were then quoting Jesus, and Jesus saying that to him, to the messenger, belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth. You see how clunky that is? That doesn't appear attached to the messenger at all. So in this verse, it is exegeted, as you can see. Indeed, I am the messenger of Allah to you all, from him, from Allah, to whom belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth. But if this was read in a neutral manner, it will be very plausible that it was about the messenger, and this was all about Jesus speaking, and we can see how they lied throughout the whole thing. And then just to finish the point, we see here at the very end that it says something that looks like a parallel statement. It says, so believe in Allah and his messenger, the Ummi Prophet. All right? And immediately after, who believes in Allah and his words. That's weird. I mean, it would be great if these two were parallel statements and it was saying basically, so believe in Allah and X, who believes in Allah and X, and follow him, X, that you may be guided. That's actually what the original said. This word in Arabic, that it is translated as his words, is kalimatihi. But in order for this to be plural, they needed to insert something called a dagger aleph, which it doesn't appear until probably after the 10th century. So the Rasam, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference between his word and his words. And I have spoken about that as well with Lloyd de Jong and Odon Lafontaine, and it seems pretty solid. So I think this originally was meant to be read, so believe in Allah and his messenger, the Ummi Prophet, who believes in Allah and his word, and follow him, that you may be guided. So that would be about Jesus. How did they disguise that? Because they added a dagger aleph, some 300, 400, 500 years after the time of Muhammad. So we can see the theme that it keeps talking about who are the successful. The verse that unlocks the whole mystery is Surah 355, because they didn't remove it. It says that those who follow Jesus will be superior until the day of judgment. And when we then zero in on the verses that use something, a similar expression, even though they are exegeted to be about Muhammad, when we look at those with a magnifying glass, we see that they are not describing Muhammad at all. So it wasn't him walking around describing himself as Jesus. It wasn't him describing himself at all. This text used to be Christian. Or to put it in other words, there are two different layers in the Quran. The bottom layer, this is what the text says. It says that Jesus died and resurrected. It says that Jesus is God. That's why they call him the Word of God, and he is the creator according to the Quran. Of course, we haven't talked about that today, so trust me, bro. The Quran affirms the Trinity very strongly, and the Quran has no idea about a guy called Muhammad walking around in Mecca. And the fact that Muhammad is mentioned 4 times by name and Mecca once should be a clear red flag that they've mistranslated those bits. However, what we read, the upper layer, top layer of the Quran, is what I call the tafsir layer. It's all about Muhammad. All of a sudden, Jesus is not God. The book denies the Trinity, and it talks about itself as a new revelation. However, those things are not in the text. Just like they tried to remove Jesus from the text, put Muhammad in the text, and they sold it as a story that has never been there to begin with. Obviously, some things would have been inserted late, interpolations and stuff, but at this stage, I'm just looking at the things that we can point at and see very clearly that it was not Muhammad. They fabricated the stories, put them on the book, or rather, they pointed at verses that were about Jesus, They said it was about Muhammad, and then they invented tafsirs and stories to make his story more credible, but it wasn't him. Therefore, the Muhammad of the narrative didn't exist. The book told a very different story. There was no belief of a guy called Muhammad giving this book to the world as a revelation from Allah. And when they started to invent the story, most likely they had to borrow from stories they knew. And that's where Kalam comes in with his research, finding a guy in the correct region doing things very similar to Muhammad. But first, we establish that Muhammad doesn't exist. When we look at the book, we see that he wasn't there. And I think that's the end of the slides. Obviously, this is not like, say, all of the verses found. Quite the opposite. I have found something like in the hundreds with lots of other people. This is the minimum amount of verses that shows very clearly how verses about Jesus, they became verses about Muhammad. And I think that's it. What do you think, Kalam?
Jeez, I'm gonna have to hype up that show. Let me hype up a little bit more. That was amazing. Let me know, family tree. Can you actually hear those sounds? Do you hear the sound effects? Or am I always
Yeah.
Yeah. This was
Very cool.
Powerful show. You've dropped some stuff that, listen, like it's sparked me because I'm like, oh, I didn't see that before. Like that was completely different. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna give you your flowers. Clap for you for that, family tree. If you have liked the show thus far, please, I'm begging you, hit the like button. Hit the like button. I need this show to get out far and wide as possible. I'm trying to end this literally before 60 minutes, so that way people will feel enticed to actually get to jump on and actually watch the show. We don't want it too long. So thank you once more. Yeah, that was, you've definitely done something here. I'm actually gonna have to rewatch this show, take notes, go back and check the information that you've dropped. Listen, okay, thank you. I don't even know what more to say. Do you know what? This is what we'll do. Let me actually get the audience members in to let me know your thoughts, right? And this is Talk with the Titans, where you guys can get on and actually critique the Titans, like, because I want my Titans to, face criticism and either sharpen their own intellect or clearly show they know their stuff. So we've got the good brother Akani that's on right now, that I assume wants to ask a question or critique the information. So let's see what my good brother Akani has to say.
Peace.
So yeah, talk to me. Like, what is it? What did you think of the show? And I know that you're a Muslim, so I've got a feeling that this might not have rubbed you the right way. But let me know.
I came in a bit late, so I was just listening to bits of it. I think I heard him say that I think he's of the view that Jesus is Muhammad, correct?
I would say that.
Yes, I haven't the verses of Muhammad. This is something that can be unpacked on its own. Two of those verses speak about Muhammad in the past tense and so on, but we are not touching those verses now because I wanted to show the theme in the easiest way. If I say Muhammad is Jesus, that is a whole different fight.
But,
I wanted to show
I
Surah
came in
7.
late,
Yeah. Well, you heard Surah 7, verse 157. That does not describe Muhammad in any way, shape, or form, and it describes Jesus.
You know what I'm saying? So your view, right, that Muhammad is technically Jesus, correct?
Before, good brother, right? I don't want you to. We don't want to have that argument or that discussion.
Oh, okay. No. What do you call it? Then
that wasn't raised in here.
To rewatch because I heard him say something about Muhammad being Jesus or the messenger being Jesus. This is the bit where I wanted to ask him questions and bring a Quranic verse. Just the one question still, and the one, if I'm trying to not make it go out of the topic, you know what I mean? Wanted to ask him about Prophet Muhammad like his view on the name Muhammad and how he sees it, and the messenger, the Rasul.
Okay.
Yeah, with the name of Muhammad, I do have views and stuff, but there are too many verses. I have gone over 100 verses so far. So instead of just jumping to different verses, that's why I wanted to keep it to, okay, let's go with the very basic ones. So if you could give perhaps your opinion as to Surah 157, which is the last one we discussed, basically. And as I said, that one describes Jesus to a T, and it does not describe Muhammad in the slightest. Do you have any views on that?
150.
Sorry, the sound is, I don't know if it's me, but I cannot hear him very well.
I think he's trying to find the verse. I can read.
So no, I'm just a bit fast, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, those who follow the messenger, the unlettered prophet, whom they find written in what they have of the Torah and the gospel. He enjoins there. So how explain, how is this Jesus, the unlettered prophet?
I'll explain it very simply. So, brother, sorry, I can't see your name. Akami. So, is Muhammad in the Torah and the
Akani.
Injil?
Yeah.
Is well, Kalam is
I thought we're sticking to Surah
Muhammad.
7157.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking the question.
So the question is, no. Let's.
Yeah.
Yep. Brother,
Hey,
JC, can you bring up the slide that has 7157.
Oh yes, I should probably have done that already. Thank you very much, brother. Here.
Those who follow the messenger.
Yeah. Put on the screen.
Whom they find written in what they have of the Torah and the gospel. So it continues, though. It does continue. But the question is, is Muhammad written in the Torah and the Gospels, or was Jesus written in the Torah and the Gospels? The verse carries on to say, who enjoins upon them what is right and forbids them what is wrong and makes lawful for them the good things and prohibits for them the evil and relieves them of their burdens and the shackles which were upon them. Ooh, I think this is another biblical verse here. The shackles that were upon them, the yoke that was on their neck. But yeah, so yeah, the question is, because we don't have it, there isn't a. Hold on, Ken. There isn't.
I'm not talking. That wasn't me talking, by the way.
Yeah, there isn't an impetus right now for you to actually defend Muhammad and say no. This is talking about Muhammad because Muhammad is not even mentioned.
It's not even talking, but I could say it's not talking about Jesus.
It's talking about a particular Rasul and a Nabi. So the question is this a Rasul and Nabi Muhammad, as most Muslims tend to believe, even though the Quran doesn't say so, or there's an alternative view, as the good brother JC has put up, or could this be a case for Jesus in the Quran that people are
so cool.
managing?
So cool. I'm of the view that obviously it is about Muhammad, but since we're talking about the Rasul and the Nabi, the unlettered prophet, so it's not given a name. If we're gonna go into the Torah, Jesus didn't fulfill the whole role of a Messiah when he came to this earth. He didn't fulfill the Messiah ben David. He didn't fulfill that role. So there's some roles that he didn't fulfill that, according to Jewish halakha and their law, they don't view.
Okay, so again, yeah, we want to stick on topic. Okay, this claim is nothing to do with Messiah. It's about being a messenger and a Ummi prophet. So the question is, is this Jesus, yes or no?
No.
You can answer yes or no. Is that Muhammad, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start off with the affirmative. Why is it Muhammad? And then we'll go into why is it not Jesus afterwards.
It's Muhammad based on the prophecies and life and history, innit? Like he actually fulfilled the roles of the awaited one, or the Redeemer to come, which in some Jewish traditions they would identify that as the Messiah. So he fulfilled the Redeemers, the people.
The question is, is Muhammad written about inside
Yes.
of the Torah and the Gospel?
Yes.
And if he is
Yes.
written inside of the Torah and the Gospel, do you have any verses where he's written inside of the Torah and the Gospel?
Yeah.
If you
Okay, cool.
don't feel ashamed because it's just like on the spot. You never knew the arguments.
Okay, cool. So
is
we've
there?
got Haggai. We've got Haggai 22. Was it? I think Haggai 2:2
That's-
or Haggai 22. Haggai 2:2.
That's not the Torah. The Torah
According
is-
to Jewish tradition, the Torah is not just the 5 books of Moses, but it's the Nevi'im and the Ketuvim. I'm not capping.
Okay, go on. I'll let you slide. Go ahead.
So in Haggai 2 verse 2, it talks about the praised one of the nations. This Prophet Muhammad, he fulfills that.
Because he's the praised one of the nations. Okay. And then in the gospel,
In the gospel, he would fulfill the parakletos, because even the word parakletos has got praised one within that word. It's a compound word. So the kletos is where praised will come into it. So he spoke of in the gospels as well.
In the Gospel of John, the whole comforter coming. These are your two names of Haggai and the Gospel of John.
Yeah.
The two places where Muhammad is spoken of.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's your argument there.
Yeah.
And then you negate the fact that it's Jesus. So
yeah.
How do you negate the fact that this is Jesus?
Oh, because Jesus didn't actually redeem, like probably spiritually, but like physical wise, he didn't do nothing for the Jews. They still went through problems.
Messenger and as an only prophet. That's written
the
about
prophet, because the one cool. I don't know then. If you're talking, but if that's what I'm saying, we're gonna have to talk the language of the Torah. And this
let's pause.
Boy, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna answer.
Keep it. If you don't know something, just keep it about.
I don't know. If Jesus the prophet or messenger, if we're gonna negate the Messiah bit, then I don't even know where to start with that, because the Messiah and the prophet would fall in. But if we're gonna separate it, then
let's stop because we don't have much time left. All right, now, good brother JC, I'd like you to come in and give a counteraction to what he's just stated in terms of his argument that it's Muhammad, and then I want you to put forward. Furthermore, sorry. Can you put forward your argument as to the positive as to why it is in reference to Jesus, and then afterwards tell me why it's not Muhammad as well.
Yes, certainly. So we start with the verse that we discussed before, which is one of the very clear verses in the Quran, Surah 3, verse 55, where Allah says, I will make those who follow you, Jesus, superior to those who disbelieve until the day of judgment. There is no qualification there. It is very simple. It is only once you get to even Kathir and the Tafsir writers who are going to say, no, that's not what it means. They follow Paul. But we've seen them up. Christendom was everywhere. That verse was very clear and saying the theme of the book, that following Jesus was what make people successful. Then when we come to this verse, we see exactly the same thing. It's saying that those who follow this guy now will be the successful. The guy is established in Surah 3:55 being Jesus. And as we unpack it and then say, okay, which one is it, one or the other? We see that it cannot be Muhammad, because we do have the Torah and the Injil from way before the time of Muhammad. And as much as people say, no, it's corrupted, it's like, no, guys, we had it. Christendom was massive. Jesus is in both of those, in absolutely every single book, in whichever canon you actually take. And then this verse that we have here, it actually establishes that the messenger makes things lawful and unlawful. The Quran establishes that Jesus does that in Surah 3, verse 50. And once again, here in Surah 757, only God can make things lawful and unlawful. This could never be Muhammad. The tafsir writers do try to duct tape it quite a bit, but he doesn't fit.
Okay, and then could I get you to just state where in the Torah and the Gospel, specific chapters, where Jesus is referred to as a messenger and as an Ummi prophet?
Ummi, it says, I think it is in Daniel, if I remember correctly, when it says the ummi, actually it uses the word ummi about the Messiah for the Gentiles. It is the word ummi being used. I think it's the only time in the Old Testament. And in terms of prophecies, he just fulfills all of them. And of course, once we get to the New Testament, it's all about him. Jesus appears more than 900 times, even by name. So don't know what particular references. For Christians, Jesus appears from the book of Genesis and then appearing to Abraham and to Moses and to everybody else.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So, this has been a very exciting show. Again, the link is there inside of the comment section. So if any of you guys would like to come on and actually have your say, although we are trying to shut down the show, please hit the link, come on in to have your say. And this is literally your last opportunity to come on in, to have your say, to question the brother, to commend the brother on a great show as well. So whichever way you want to do, critique or commend, the choice is yours. Now, let me actually just go through some of these comments real quickly. I don't have any super chats here. Okay, so family, I need you guys to start supporting the channel so you can get some of these awesome presentations and shows and interviews back on again. Oh my God. We've got the Orthodox more. I had to scroll up get this one. It says, not gonna lie, he's butchering the grammar. Either he knows he is doing it on purpose or is so ignorant of the topic he shouldn't be commenting on the matter. Brother, Orthodox more. Okay, why need you? You know how we do on this channel. If we make claims, what do? Provide your evidence if you are truthful. So I need you to back it up. Okay, so just show me where did he butcher the grammar, so we can actually move on from there. Because right now we can't move forward with that. We want to keep it, outside of the realms of emotions and into the realms of proper academic rigor and scrutiny. Okay, let's see who else. Okay, here we go. Good brother Asif, how are you doing, King? Peace and love to you and your family. It says here, if Umi means, as Saint Murad says, i.e. national, then it's like preach to the nations, i.e. Jesus. Ooh, yeah. Definitely. I think there is I've read this about 10 years ago. No, it's about 10 years plus ago. I read this particular article. It's actually called something like the Ummi, and it goes through the whole of the Quran to figure out what does this word Ummi means, how is it, and it's contrasted against, the people of the book. I believe it's contrasted against people of the book and so forth. And I think the conclusion was Ummi has various different meanings. It could mean mother, it could mean nation, it could mean Gentile, it can mean illiterate, it can mean all these different things. It can mean all those different things, but what's the context? It's juxtaposed against Ahl Kitab, I believe. I'm just from memory, 10 years ago. I will look it up and see if I can provide the actual article for you guys so you guys can read it. I think it's about 20 to 30 pages if you guys are actually interested. And in there, it shows that it is, juxtaposed towards Ahl Kitab. So it's showing you that the word Ummi actually means, in that sense, in terms of Nabi prophet, it's the prophet of the Gentiles or the Gentile prophet. So that's what it would have meant as far as my own personal research. And the question is, does Muhammad fit in as a Gentile prophet? It's possible, because could we view the Arabs or the nation that he was sent to, whatever that nation was, could we view them as Gentiles? That's possible. Could we view Jesus as, the prophet of the Gentiles or the Gentile prophet? I think it's quite possible also. I think mostly within sort of the Old Testament, the prophets were all sent to the children of Israel, whereas Jesus was there as a redeemer for the whole entire world. So, there is still an argument for both individuals. So it's quite interesting. Can we build on it? Can we build on it to say yes, this suits Jesus more? Or can we build on it and disprove that it's Jesus and say it's Muhammad? So I'm open for this dialogue and conversation. Just waiting for you guys to drop some powerful questions and comments for us. Jesus preached to the nations that may be Ummi, prophet, i.e., national prophet, or if Ummi means mother or motherly, that will be Jesus. Jesus is higher than Muhammad because Christ is God. It's Trinitarian. Okay, alhamdulillah. All right, cool. So family, I'm gonna get my good brother JC to have the final words before we do close down the show. Again, yeah, the next time we do these shows, I made sure that everybody had forewarning, foreknowledge to know that we are going to be live at 8 p.m. Most of our shows on Titans TV will be done at 8 p.m. So if you want to present any information, just know that 8 p.m. GMT UK time is the time that we're usually doing the podcast, the Talk with the Titans style show. We're aiming to last around an hour long for presentation and show, but I'm willing to go that little bit extra with you guys as well. So family, again, please hit the subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. Okay, I know all of you guys here are already subscribed because you are Day One Titans TV supporters. But if you haven't received a notification to let you know that we've gone live and the show is here and you're watching it later on, please hit the bell icon notification and let YouTube know I want to be notified. If Kalam posts on Titans TV a post, I want to see it. If he posts a picture, I want to see it. If he posts a YouTube video, I want to see it. If he posts a live stream, I want to see it. All right. So just hit the bell notification so you can be informed whenever we're going live again. All right. Let's get back to it. Brother JC, talk to me.
Okay, well, yes, I would like to address very briefly the comment from the Orthodox Moor. I think when he said about butchering the grammar, he probably meant this, but I think this should show very clearly that it is the people who try to push the narrative of Muhammad who actually butcher the grammar. This verse is incredibly clear, and you can see it from the translations as how they add extra words that are not in there, and you can see it even from the tafsirs. And also to comment on brother Orthodox Moor, the work that I'm doing is not to upset you, even though I know that it is upsetting. But when looking at this without being inside of Islam, one like myself can see very clearly that you guys are being lied to. You are on the side of the liars. They lied to you about the preservation of the Quran. They have lied to you about the Prophet. So as upsetting as it is, you are on the side of the liars, and that's absolutely not good. So do not judge me as I'm hateful towards you. Quite the opposite. I wouldn't put all of this effort if it weren't to help people like you. You need to realize you're on the side of the liars and you need to investigate. So that would be my reply. And apart from that, it's been a great show. Kalam, thank you very much for the invite. These verses here, they are not the exception. It's not like this is it. This is the rule. The Quran is full, absolutely packed with things that they have really played with in order to push a narrative. So it is not the exception. What we have seen here today is the rule.
Definitely. And family, I would absolutely love for you to come on again to give us another presentation. I think your presentations are absolutely awesome. They're jam-packed with information. And again, it's like, to me, it's inspiring, insightful. Like, it literally has got me like, oh, click. Oh, I never saw that before. So like, you're giving me little gems that I've never seen before. And I am very much so appreciative of that. So thank you once more for actually coming onto this channel and breathing a breath of fresh air. Family, again, I would love for this particular show to get out as far and wide as possible. I want you guys to be polarized. I want you guys to say, I disagree with the good brother. And the reason why, because I want the engagement with inside of the comment section. Like, I produce these shows here, not for you guys to just passively watch, right? I want you to be active viewers, active listeners, engaged with the content itself. And I want you guys to actually go back, check out the quotes, check out the passages, do the research, and really, really get sharp on this material. Like, again, I do personally believe that we are speaking on like faith-based topics from a critical, academic stance most of the times. And I know it sounds like, like it's attacking. It could feel like as though you're under attack, but I'm telling you now, like most of us here, like we have no pleasure. We find no pleasure like attacking people at all. We're like, no, we're just intellectually curious, and we want you guys to see what we see also. And it's nothing but love. Okay, so family tree again, and again. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Support Titans TV. If you yourself is basically an upcoming Titan and you would like to present some information onto this channel, I am going to do my best, to commit to doing these presentations, doing these interviews. If it's a Wednesday, let's just say, for example, today's a Wednesday. If we can get like a show every single Wednesday of upcoming Titans coming on here to present information, let's do that. Let's absolutely do that. And again, if you guys haven't already known or heard, right, I actually have a new channel. Okay, I have a new channel. I'm trying to actually bring it up right now. Origin. Let's see if I can bring it up and share the screen. Present, share screen. Here we go. So here we go, right here. Okay, right here. This is the new channel. It's called the Abyssinian Origin. Okay, and we will be dropping videos on this particular channel. Right now, we're just building it up. I can't wait. As soon as we hit 100 subscribers, that's when I'm going to go ham on here. So if you want to hear stuff when I'm talking on Islam, like this is where it's going to be. Okay, because I know a lot of you guys come here and like, I'm tired of this Muslimic stuff. Stop talking on it. Like, let's get back to some other information. Let's get back to history. Like, this is the Kalam that I like. Like, why are we doing this? So I'm going to save you from that. So those of you guys who are actually interested, go over here, right? And you're going to find the Abyssinian Origin, where we basically highlight the Abyssinian Empire of Arabia underneath Abraha and unpack the Abyssinian origin of Islam. All right, we're going to literally be going through scholarly works on the 6th century Aksum, Himyar, and Habesha rule. We're going to unpack the Abyssinian Arabian context of Muhammad's life, unpack the Abyssinian Arabian context of the Quran. And of course, we're going to have to like counteract and correct the spread of misinformation on, the origins of Islam and the Arabian Peninsula within inside of the 6th and 7th century. And my whole goal for all of you guys, right, it's just literally to raise a whole generation of historical, critical thinkers. I want you guys to learn this information, learn how to think critically. Like, this is the whole motto of Titans TV, is thought-provoking media. I want you guys to be critical thinkers, and we're going to add that extra element of historical, critical thinkers, because there's a lot of stuff that's floating around that if you just understood a bit of history, a little bit of methodology, you'll be like, I don't buy that. We can see that already. Oh, nope, that's fallacious. Oh, yep, that's a red herring. Oh, that's this. So I want you guys to be that way inclined, to be academically minded, critical thinkers. All right, family tree. We've reached the end of the show. Please, again, go over there and subscribe to Abyssinian Origin, and look forward to new shows dropping on a weekly basis over here on Titans TV. Look at that. Quranic manuscripts. Anyways, all the Ethiopian stuff, it's on there. It's on there. It's going to be fun. All right. Family, we're closing down the show right now. I'm just seeing if there's any last questions or comments that I can read out. I don't care. Oh, let's see. I don't care. I take the Quran Arabic with me onto the crucified Christ. Side Yasin belongs to me. I took Hadrat Mustafa, Muhammad, Saeed, Muhakkak in with me on Christ's side. Amen. All right. Let's see. Let's quickly see. Quran and New Testament, both are the books of the dead. Jeez. All right, cool. All right, family, cool. That's it. We're going to be shutting on the show now. Yeah, and I'll catch you guys on another one. Peace and love. Young Cali, baby. Oh, man. Yeah.
There is only one Quran, right? Every Quran in the world is the same. That's what you've been told. You have been told a lie!
26 of the Quran.
26 different Quran!
There are 0 Dawa guys apparently left on the planet who are willing to defend Muhammad in a debate.
Everybody can go and read it. This is a book full of mistakes in Arabic, in the grammar, in the spelling, in the pronunciation.
Whoever wrote the Quran made an error because they didn't quite understand what was written in the 7th century in the Torah and the Injil.
Stay away from these translations. They are propaganda.
We know that stories about Muhammad were made up on an industrial scale.
What in the world is this Injil?